Hello, welcome to foam rolling part 4 on the Virtual Y. My name is Ellen. This is foam rolling and stretching for tight hips. So today we'll use foam roller as a prop for stretching as well as a massage tool for rolling. And grab a yoga strap if you have a yoga strap. And we don't need a loop in the strap, so you can unloop it. If you don't have a yoga strap, just grab a stretchy band of some sort. You could even use like a long belt or something like that. But we'll set the strap aside and we'll begin with the foam roller perpendicular on our mat. Sit on the mat and lie back so that the shoulder blades, the upper back, are on the roller. Plant your feet about hips distance apart. Move anything like ponytails or hoodies out of the way. Pick up your seat and just begin rolling up and down over the upper back. We'll start loosening up the shoulders, the traps, get a little bit into the rhomboids and the lats as well. But all of these back muscles, our back body, it's all part of the posterior chain, which when the muscles of the back are tight, and the side and the legs and the seat, when those muscles are tight, it gives us a little bit less range of motion in our hips. So it's a good place to begin, just loosening up the posterior chain. So little focus on the upper back. You could spend a little longer here if you also have a sore back or a little tight spots in your back. But then moving down to the low back as well. If you tip over a bit to one side, you can get the lats. So kind of the underarm, mid-body, mid-back, up and down, left and right. And then the low back as well. The next thing I like to do is move to sitting on the foam roller and loosen up the glutes. So the glutes are the muscles in our seat, support hip movement. And if we have tight muscles in our seat, then we have a harder time moving or opening the hips. There's a lot of different ways to consider hips being tight or being loose. So hips move in many directions. They're ball and socket joint. So maybe we think of having tight hips as having a hard time doing like a pigeon pose, or maybe doing a reclined butterfly pose, or maybe just some wide sumo squats, things like that. So loosening these muscles up is going to help us get into some of those tighter spots. So just rolling glutes left and right, up and down over the glute max, down and under the big back pocket muscle, that glute max, but you can roll to the side hip as well and get the glute med in there. After rolling glutes, then I would roll onto the back and lie back. So the foam roller, you can lift your seat and move the roller under your seat. So here's a supported bridge pose. First thing we'll do here for hips is to loosen up the front of our hips. So one of the directions that the hips might be tight is just an extension. So if your thighs are parallel to each other, that's neutral hip. Extend your legs long, one at a time, keeping your feet parallel, hips distance apart, feet parallel to each other. And that's neutral hip. But then you could turn your heels in and your toes out, maybe go a little wider. So just loosening up hip flexors, front body, abdominal muscles as well, if they're tight, or maybe into the lats a little bit, the obliques. So those muscles being tight also can make it difficult to move the hips in extension like this. So I like to start by just focusing on a little pause with extension, neutral and open hips, and then plant your feet. We'll come back to that supported bridge. Hands can hold the roller here. Bring one thigh at a time toward the body and then tuck the body. Now we're loosening up the low back, and we can massage into the glute min and the low back just by tipping the knees a little left to right. So we're not only getting a stretch with that flexion in the low back, the tucking, but also the massage where the foam roller is pressing. So a smaller movement, knees side to side, could become a little bit bigger. You could almost tip a little bit more side to side. And you can experiment by moving the foam roller up or down a little bit on the low back and on the seat. So on that sacrum. So now we've done 2 points, tucking and extension. Let's bring the knees to point toward the sky and then tip the knees to the right. Take a little pause wherever you start to feel sensation on the side body. So hands are holding the roller here. You're also getting a nice massage on the glute. You'll notice wherever the glute is pressing on the roller. And then tip the knees to the other side. So we'll just get used to that stretch on the side body through the groin, and then circle the knees around. So notice that nice massage you're getting wherever the roller is pressing, and the nice stretch you're getting as you're moving your knees through this range of motion. This is my favorite practice. I love, this is probably my favorite foam roller move right here. Getting into the low back, the hips, and the glute min. Beautiful. So back to that tuck. A few more things we can do here in our tuck. Make sure that your hands are holding the roller. Extend your legs long when your thighs are tucked in. You can pause wherever. They don't have to be straight. Just feel the backside of the legs loosen up. So we're stretching the hamstrings. Point flex the ankles a little bit too. Wiggle those toes around. Get in a little lower down the posterior chain to the lower legs as well. And then we'll bring our legs up toward the sky. There's your legs up the wall pose. You could open your legs wide. Open and close like a big V. Stretch the inner thighs. Bend your knees. You could do a few little clamshells here. Beautiful. All right. Supported plow, supported shoulder stand. Plant your feet here back to that hip extension. Pick up your seat and we'll just move the foam roller out from under. And we'll come on up to seated. So you can continue rolling down the back side of your legs, so perhaps the hamstrings a little bit as well. But not only the back side of the legs, but the front side of the legs. So spend as much time as you need to on the hamstrings, and then flip on over, and we'll also focus on the quads and up into the pelvis and the groin. Forearm plank with your thighs on the roller. Those are the quads there. And then just move the body up and down over that roller. Little tuck. Thighs parallel. When your feet are flexed, the feet parallel, so that's neutral hip. You could turn your heels in and your toes out. So we're rotating the leg bone, getting a little different angle on the quads. You can go all the way down just above the kneecap. If you're real tight down, the quads are tight down by the kneecap, just take a little pause there as well. You can slow it down or just rest altogether. Experiment with tensing versus relaxing the muscles as you roll them. And then I like to turn toes in and heels out and go really slowly. Speed is another way we can vary the way that we roll the body. You can use a softer foam roller or a more firm foam roller. So I highly recommend having a few different firmnesses of roller so that you can try if your quads are really tight. I think it feels better to have a really firm foam roller. But some days, if those quads are really tight, you might want a softer one so you can feel it out. Softer foam rollers are nice for rolling the shins because the shin bone is so close to the surface. Beautiful. And if you want to get a little higher up, you'll notice you can only go so far up the quads till you run into your pelvis. So just focus on one leg at a time and you can get really high up on that quad, way up high. And this is very beneficial in helping loosen up hips, really getting up high there. You can even roll to the outer hip a little bit. So both legs at the same time. And then you can position your body as well. Position the foam roller so that you roll the inner thigh. So at an angle, leg up and over the foam roller. Just kind of lie down, and then you can roll the inner thigh as well. So getting the adductor. And you could even position so that you're closer up to the very end of the foam roller, and you could just press that into any tight spot as well in the upper thigh. So the next thing that we'll move on to is the strap stretch, the hip strap stretch. So set your foam roller aside and grab your strap. We'll lie on our back, bend your knees, plant your feet, and then find the center of your strap. We'll put the ball of the right foot, so there's flexion in our foot, in the strap. Leave a bend in your knee. Our hip is neutral here, so thigh is right in front of chest. Arms fully extend, to grip the strap so the arms are long, let the arms be heavy so you've got some resistance that you can push into as you extend and bend a little bit. So now we're stretching the hamstring. A couple times here, experiment with angle of leg. If you leave a little bend in your knee, you might draw the thigh a little closer to your chest. That might feel like a little bit different kind of a stretch. Oftentimes we focus on trying to straighten the leg. It really doesn't matter if the leg is straight, just wherever you're feeling some good sensation. And then with both hands holding the strap, just lower that leg down so the strap slides through your hands. So now you're in hip extension. Relax the leg muscles. Use your arms and the strap to guide the leg up and down a few times with neutral hip from extension to flexion. Get back into that stretch at the top. Beautiful. Right leg towards sky. Right hand holds both tails of strap. Left arm opens out to the side. Right leg slowly drops out to the right. You can drop your left knee out to the left as well. Any amount of bend in your knee. Again, don't worry if the leg is straight or not. Really doesn't matter. We're searching for the best sensation, the best stretch. I like to bend the elbow that's holding the strap. Use the upper arm to support on the earth so that you're not dropping all the way down to the earth. Bend and extend a little bit. Left knee might have dropped out to the left as well, just so we don't tip over toward the right. And then we'll experiment with angles of that right thigh bone in the pelvis. So keeping your leg hovering over the earth, just begin to bring the leg around. Like think about your leg bone as moving around kind of an axis, the center of a point. So you might circle the leg around, up towards sky, over to the left, down toward the feet again, open, out. Experiment with angles. Rotating leg bones too. It's interesting to internally and externally rotate the thigh bone in the pelvis as you move the leg around a few times. Beautiful. And then come on back to center. We'll switch. Left foot in the strap, right foot plants, arms fully extend. We'll start with a bend in the knee. Grip the strap, heavy arms like you've added a little weight so that you have resistance to push into. Find the hamstring stretch with a big flex in the foot. You'll find sensation sooner the bigger the flex you have in the foot toward the back of the leg. Long leg lowers. Let that strap slide through your hands. And then relax the leg. Use the arms to guide that relaxed leg up and down. Interesting. You're just experimenting then with a relaxed muscle and how it stretches versus a tensed muscle. Beautiful. Left leg up towards sky. Now we'll pass the strap to our left hand. Open your right arm out to the side. Left leg drops out to the left, pausing wherever you feel good inner thigh stretch. Bend and extend if that feels good in your body. Stillness might feel better some days. I like to move the joints around a little bit though, just to find a little more sensation of increased range of motion. And then think about the leg moving around in a circle, over, down by the feet, over to the right, up toward the sky, and out again to the left. So a few times clockwise, a few times counterclockwise. Rotating leg bone, internal rotation, external rotation as well. Beautiful. Back to center, then we'll extend both legs up into the strap. So big flex to the feet, both hands hold a tail. Open your legs now as wide as you can, as wide as feels comfortable, wherever you find that good stretch. I usually end up toward the end of the strap. So this is why we didn't need a loop in our strap. You can get a hold of longer yoga straps too. They have really long ones. If you have long legs, that might be nice, but just stretching inner thigh. And again, you could bend and extend. You could rock a little side to side. And then we'll turn this inner thigh adductor stretch into happy baby pose. Bring your feet a little closer together, maybe as wide as your yoga mat. There's tension in the strap, then bend your knees, hips open, thighs toward the body, bottoms of feet up. You can go a little wider, a little narrower. Hands holding the strap so we're not worried about reaching for the feet. Little rock side to side. This might feel good as well. Happy baby pose. And then we'll bring the bottoms of the feet together. Keep your knees bent, your hips open, bottoms of feet together, and then we'll grip the strap a little closer to the feet. Got a little handle on your feet. Bend your knees a little more, draw your feet in a little closer to the body, and we'll begin to open the hips more. So hands are holding the straps. You can relax your hips, let the hips drop open, perhaps a little wider, and then you can lower your feet with open hips toward the earth, lowering down. Not everyone's body enjoys moving through that range of motion, so don't worry about it if you're not going all the way down to the earth. Stay within a range that feels comfortable. It's just a nice way to move the hips through open hip movement, through flexion and extension with open hips here. Beautiful, and then both legs up towards sky. And we'll release the strap. Point and flex your feet, circle your wrists, move your fingers around a little bit, just that tension from the strap. Beautiful, hug your knees, little rock side to side. Plant the feet, knees together, feet a little wider, closed hips, and then drop your knees to the right and then to the left. Little side to side movement, some 90-90, mermaid pose, windshield wiper, one hip open, one hip closed. Beautiful. How do those hips feel? So the whole theme here is thinking about, in order to open up the hips, to loosen the hips, think about the hips moving in extension. So loosening up the quads and the front of the hips, loosening up the glutes, the side of the hips, and the low back. All those different directions. Beautiful. When you're ready, we'll roll on up to seated. Well, thanks for joining today for foam rolling and stretching for tight hips. I hope that felt good in your body. Until next time, be well.